Hello, Namaste. I am Amashvi Gautam, and today we are here to talk about a very special issue, and we are here with a very special program. And in this program, we are going to talk about LGBTI situation in our country as well as other countries also. At first, I would like to tell about LGBTI. What does LGBTI stands for? Yes, LGBTI stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex. Till today, different developing countries has already eradicated these issues in national and social level. As we all know that Nepal is also one of the developing country. We have eradicating and progressing day by day in these issues. So to talk on today's topic, we have two different guests. First one is Qasim Iqbal. He is the LGBTI HIV/AIDS activist, and our next guest is Miss Lakshminarayan Tripathi. She is a very good actress as well as a Bharatanatyam dancer. At first, I would like to talk with our first guest, Qasim Iqbal. So let's welcome him in our show. Hello, Qasim. How are you? And yes, welcome to Nepal.
Thank you very much. It's always lovely to be here.
Today we are here to talk on LGBTI related issues. Tell me, what are the recent advocacies you have conducted?
Well, the LGBTI subject in Pakistan is something that you can't actually openly speak about. So most of our advocacy work that we do is behind the scenes. We've been very busy in establishing allies with different embassies, with the UN agencies, and also certain people high up in the government.
So how you become a success to establish an organization like Male Health Organization? How difficult it was for you to start and still?
It was difficult. We are actually the first and still the only organized organization that's working for sexual minorities as far as health and human rights of sexual minorities are concerned. So establishing the organization was difficult, but the way we strategized it is that we are actually taking a piggyback on HIV. So we're using the health route. We're taking the health route in order to achieve human rights.
When did you plan to establish this organization?
The organization was established in 2010. Didn't really become operational until 2011 though.
As we know that Muslim community is a bit concerned about women and children in various issues. So what are their perceptions about a person like you?
I haven't really faced too many challenges yet so far, knock on wood. It's been great. Muslim societies, yes, it's very conservative over there. When we talk about transgenders, though, there is a little bit of tolerance in Pakistan for transgenders because as far as Islam is concerned, they're special people chosen by God, and that's why He has given them both genders. So so in Muslim societies, generally there is usually I wouldn't say acceptance, but tolerance for transgenders. When it comes to gay people, our society recognizes that we exist, but they don't like us. We're like dirt. We deserve to die. When it comes to lesbians, in Pakistan, if you ask the average person about lesbians, they'll say there aren't any in Pakistan. In fact, one person even told me that lesbianism is a Western disease. So we don't have it in Pakistan because, if you in Pakistani society, if we were to accept the existence or recognize the existence of lesbians, that would mean that women are also sexual beings, and I don't think Pakistani society is ready to accept that women are sexual beings.
Tell us about the law and social situation in Pakistan for LGBTI people.
Okay, well, we have a couple of different laws that affect LGBTI persons. First, we have the Section 3 377 of the Pakistan Penal Code, which, like many other countries, we inherited from the British. And that law was, I believe it was enacted in the 1860s, and it comes with a 10-year imprisonment and up to 100 lashes. The second law that we have is the Hudud Ordinance, which is under the Islamic Sharia law, and that was enacted by former President General Ziaul Haq in 1976. And under the Hudud Ordinance, somebody like me can actually get the death penalty. So we do have stoning to death as a penalty for that, plus 200 lashes.
Okay, let's go back to your childhood. Tell me something about your childhood. Where were you born, and about your family background?
Well, I was born in Pakistan, in right outside of Islamabad, the capital city. My father was in the army, but in 1976 he took an early retirement, and we moved to the United States. So I've actually spent most of my life in the United States. So from like 1976 till 2003 or 2004, I was in America.
When did you realize you are different, and how did you feel?
I think I always knew. When I was a child, I remember, you know, other boys would play with like toy cars and guns. Well, I would play with toy cars as well, but they would be like dolls, because I couldn't have dolls, so I would name these cars, and they would be dating, and they would get married, and, you know, and then I also remember as a child, when my mom and dad were not home, I would go into her room and put on her makeup and stuff like that, and maybe even the Pakistani dupatta, which you take over your head. I would put that on. At night, I would put the blanket on my head, and I would be a bride, and I would be role playing and stuff. So I think I always knew that I was very different.
And what about the people's reaction about you?
Growing up, it was difficult because I was feminine, and growing up in America as a feminine boy it's not an easy thing. There are bullies. People make fun of you. They call you names. So it was actually difficult. I always was more friends with girls than with boys. So I felt more comfortable with girls. So I did have good friends. My family, we never, they didn't really ever give me a hard time. But my sexuality is something, although I've come out to them a few years ago, but my sexuality is something that we don't discuss. If anything even on television comes that's LGBTI related, automatically the channel will change if I'm watching TV with my parents. So it's something that they choose to just look the other way.
When did you first publicly come out, and what about your parents' reaction?
I think I was a teenager, like maybe 17 years old or something, and I was seeing a psychologist for depression and in the United States, and my psychologist actually told my parents that I was gay. So it was actually came as a shock to them, but again, we never really discussed it. And we still haven't discussed it after so many years.
Why do you think they don't express themselves freely?
Because, in Pakistan we come from a shame-based society, and this would be something they would be ashamed of. Definition of a man and a woman are well defined in society, in the patriarchal society that we live in. A man is supposed to get married to a woman, and then they are supposed to have children. That is what the norm is. So I don't think my parents really want to discuss my sexuality, because it's just they're just not comfortable with the notion of accepting me as a gay man.
Isn't it affecting the psychological disorder in social functioning?
No, I don't think so. I don't hide the fact that I'm gay, and even in front of my parents, if the conversation is leading to where I need to express my sexuality, then it would be okay. I'm a very open person. I mean, I've given, like I'm giving you an interview right now, I've given many interviews all over the world. There's been articles written about me and my boyfriend and us living together as a married couple, just like a married couple in Pakistan. So I'm not closeted by any chance, so I don't think there is the question of any kind of a psychological issue.
Have you studied the situation in America and Europe? Have any changes arrived?
I think Europe has been quite open to sexual minorities and different gender identities. For America, it's a new thing. In the last 1 year, we've been seeing like a domino effect, state by state. They're legalizing gay marriages. This is all thanks to President Obama. But so for them, it's a new thing. But what it's doing now that America is recognizing the rights of LGBT persons as a fundamental human right, I think they are now putting pressure on the rest of the world.
This group of people are teased by other and society indifferently. What can be the role of NGO, INGO and government to eradicate this problem?
Well, I think one of the biggest roles that the NGOs and international NGOs and organizations need to play is sensitization. They need to play a bigger role in sensitizing the society on LGBTI issues, so that the average person out there can understand LGBTI persons, just like we, the LGBTI community, understands the average people.
What South Asian LGBTI should do for joint advocacy?
I think we need to learn from each other. India, for example, has a well-established movement, and we should learn from them, take lessons from them, and move forward. So I think information sharing on best practices is really required. Plus, because South Asia generally has very similar culture and language, common language as well. I think most of the countries speak Hindi. We in Pakistan speak Urdu, which is very similar to Hindi. So I think SARC needs to play a bigger role in this. They need to promote LGBTI rights as fundamental human rights.
What other things can influence in SARC level?
Like I said, I think they need to actually work with governments and pressurize governments to at least have social protection for LGBTI persons included within their laws and policies.
Thank you for your precious time, Kasim. We hope to see the positive changes in your near future. Best of luck for your organization and social activism. Cheers.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have ended our first talk with our first guest, Kasim Iqbal, and we got to know about the present and past situation of Pakistan as well as other countries also. And as I say you all that we have another guest also, and she is Miss Lakshmi Narayan Tripathi. Now it's time to welcome her in our show. Hello Lakshmi, how are you? And welcome to Nepal.
Namaskar. Thank you so much for having me to come to Nepal. Nepal has always been my favorite place.
Today we are here to talk about LGBTI present situation in Nepal and various countries. So tell me, what are the recent advocacies you have conducted?
India has come out with a landmark judgment on 15th April 2014, and I come from a state, Maharashtra, where we successfully had the transgender policy, in the women's policy of Maharashtra, the state which I come from. We had the women's policy drafted, where with the help of the Women and Child Ministry, we were included in the women policy, and two very sensitive issues the women's policy, Women and Child Development Office really touched upon. One was sex worker women and one was transgender women. And I was the coordinator of both the chapters, and successfully the cabinet had approved it. The previous, now Maharashtra went with an election and a new government. The previous government, when Prithviraj Chauhan and Varsha Gaikwad was the Women and Child Minister, she got it approved by the cabinet. After the verdict in 2014, now recently, before the elections, our previous government in the state, even we formed the Maharashtra Transgender Welfare Board, which has a Transgender Cultural Institute also with it. But still, there is a group of community and human beings which were not considered human. Nepal came out to be the first, and later on was followed by Pakistan Supreme High Court, then Bangladesh, and then we were successfully in India. But does the change in law makes the difference in the society? That's the biggest question mark.
So you are a transgender. People calling
Hijra.
okay, yeah, Hijra. People calling Hijra for transgender people in bad way. So could you tell me what Hijra is exactly?
Hijra is the oldest ethnic transgender community which is living in this whole world. I will tell you the whole, they're very funny, you know. I really, people on the name of religion divide sexuality, speak so much about sexuality. Now first, if I start with the people who ruled us in my country, the British and the Christianity, the first of the converts were the eunuchs. And Luke chapter always says that people will become eunuchs, there will be eunuchs, and they will be treated much more better than the sons and the daughters. There is mention of our community with respect and dignity. Hinduism, I need not tell. There were Yaksha, Gandharva, Apsara, Kinnars, and during the Krishna period we were known as the Sakyas also. Ram period, the word Hijra came out. You know, so there are many incidents in our own Hindu culture where there was Shrikhandi, Bruhanala, and so many other whole tracing down of our community. Islam, in Hadith it is mentioned, and many places it is mentioned, Muazzar Muannas, man and woman, and Mukhannas is the third sex. So when the third gender was always mentioned, why can't it be mentioned in a constitution? Why can't we be treated as human beings? And this is what we come from. We come from the culture which is many people who ruled us tried to wipe out the entire community. I still remember in my Indian context, if I go and tell, there was a law where my community people, if they had to travel from one district to another, they had to ask the collector during the British Raj. There were laws which section 377 everybody knows. In India still it is the biggest issue. But that rooted the concept of stigma and discrimination, which was not in our culture. I come from that community which has a history, rather if you go historical history and evidences to the religious history of our community is so strong.
Now let's sit on the time machine and go back in your childhood. Tell me something about your childhood. Where were you born and what was your family background?
I was born in Thane district, which is next to Mumbai.
Yes.
And I come from an Orthodox Brahmin family. Of course, from a very closest neighbor district of India, which is a border of your own country, Gorakhpur. My parents came from Gorakhpur, but settled in Thane. Then I was born in Thane. Right from my young childhood, I was very feminine. And because of the femininity, of course, I went through sexual abuse also. But it didn't turn me. My sexuality is not because of my sexual abuse. Because I was feminine, I was targeted to sexually. And after that, my life, I was quite good student. I learned to dance. As child, I always feel so much of stigma and discrimination right walking on the street. People used to call me Chakka, Mamu, Good, all sorts of names. But I was shameless, you know. I was really bad. I didn't even care about the society. Because I said, who are they? How does they matter? They're not giving me clothes to wear. They're not giving me food. But I had a good support of my parents. I still remember when I joined the Hijra community, my father was quite disturbed about it when he came to know and when this all drama happened. But one thing my mother said, right from Gorakhpur, which is so close, our culture is so, and I come from a Hindu Brahmin family. Relatives said that the child should be killed. People didn't accept me. They kept names to my family. But my mother stood headstrong. She said, my child is my child. It's none of anybody's business. And they supported me. I was never discriminated by my parents, whether it was education given to my siblings and opportunities given to my siblings and me were totally the same. I was blessed, touchwood, I was blessed with such beautiful parents who stood by me left, right and center. And I still remember when I was dressing up completely, my father said at one point of time, whatever you want to do it from home.
When did you first publicly come out and what about the people's perception? Did it change?
I was always out. I didn't have to come out specially, you know. I was so feminine, I was always out. But I still remember, I gave the first interview to a leading news channel, Z, and first in the press saw Hijra speaking English, and they could not believe it. They said it was not possible for them to believe it. But I said, we are as normal as anybody. Only we require is opportunity.
So what about the Hijra community? Do they have a problem with you coming out and speaking openly?
No, you have to explain. See, there is always a generation gap. Your grandparents, as you being an anchor, a girl anchor in Nepal, would have been first, so much of eyebrows would have raised up. Your own family would have said, is it not right job? A girl shouldn't come on television. You know, the same thing with our communities also. Our ancestors have been suppressed so much. So they are overprotective about their own community. But when you explain them, they are always with you. There is a notion in the society that Hijra community has lot of people who torture each other, lot of fights. But everywhere, a woman and woman also bitch about each other, gossip about each other. A man and man fights on the street. So all the five fingers are not the same.
So you were the first person to represent the Asia Pacific in the UN. So how was it being there?
It is a pride moment. I never dreamt in my life I would ever achieve success in it. I never thought when I joined the community. But I was true to myself and I didn't want to live a life of hypocrisy. So I joined the community. And I never thought, what would come in my way. But every day, now also I'm living till my fullest, every second I enjoy my life. And I enjoyed even those movements when I worked with the UN, General Assembly President's Office. For Asia Pacific, I represented.
What South Asia LGBTI should do for joint advocacy?
See, one thing which I have strongly believed and always advocated, till the child doesn't cry, mother doesn't feel. I have to tell the society that what are my problems, what are my issues, and what stigma and discrimination I face every second of my life. And force the governments to take responsibility of their own people. Because the state or the federal government are responsible for their own people's dignity, respect, and for their source of income, and create income generation plans. I believe that there should be in society a dialogue started. Education system has to be changed where gender and sexuality has to be addressed. Their respect for each other's gender should be created, and education can only bring that change. Every society's development is because of education. So that knowledge has to be given in the society, and there should be a space which has to be created for children who are different. There should be counseling created. Access to public health is the biggest issue for the community. Diseases like HIV, AIDS are issues which are so thriving because of sex work. Sex work is work and I respect that. But there should be avenues created for the transgender community where they can have many other ways of living their life with dignity. Even a sex worker can live a life with dignity. But for this community, there is not a big option. You beg, you do sex work, or you do the traditional blessing work. I see a world where we don't discriminate that you're a woman, I'm a hijra, or he's a man. We all should be treated equal.
So how we can influence SAARC level?
SAARC level is because of the dialogues. How can not SAARC can be influenced? Like for example, all the 4 main countries over here. Now if you take the 4 joining countries, they all have transgender policies. What I said prior, the government, the leaders should have the guts to take responsibility of their own people, not do politics on caste, religion. They should treat everybody as their own, every human in their state or in their country as a same equal first-class citizen of that country.
Okay, thank you Lakshmi for an important time. We hope to see positive changes in further coming years, and best of luck for your organizations. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you so much.
So today in our show we discussed about the LGBTI situation in Southern Asian countries as well as European and American countries, and we got to know that they are in the phase of improvement and progressing day by day. So it's the end of the time, and I would like to thank all the viewers for watching us and my supportive team. So bye bye, take care, namaste.